Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday afternoon. This is Jonathan Harmon with the J Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. We are at Spread the Positive Studios at Cedar Glade Brews, and we are just tickled to be here, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Yep, my man Trent Denson is back there off camera. His head is looking mighty shiny today, shinier than mine. I'm pretty jealous. Is his shinier than yours?
I would think so.
I'm sweating a little.
Oh, is that what it is?
I've been running back and forth. So
gotcha. And we got our new friend. I just met him, Nick, over here in the corner.
Nick Lauer. Shouts to you, man.
Yep.
Appreciate you being here.
I asked him if it's short for Nicholas or Nikolai. I was really, really hoping for Nikolai, but it's Nicholas. That's okay.
Can't win them all.
We still love him. So he's a student over at Rockvale High School and dual enrollment at MTSU, right? Yep. So he just kind of wanted to see what this was all about. I'll tell you what, man. Underachievers, the youth these days, I tell you.
They're so lazy.
I know
just
it.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Good job.
Anyway, so before we get rolling, I want to give a shout out to my friend Bryan Nale. Got to hang out with him at Rotary Club today at the Murfreesboro New Rotary. And Bryan Nale underwrites this podcast. He is a supporter of Spread the Positive, and you can be too.
Yes.
So if you'd like to help spread the positive, it was pretty funny. Dr. Bonner is the president of that club, and we love Dr. Gloria Bonner. She's, as far as I'm concerned, she's a saint.
Yep.
You're gonna have a hard time convincing me otherwise. But she was like, "Is it like make people positive or share the positive?" And I was like, "It does all of that, but it spread the positive."
Yeah. Bringing light to what's going right.
That's it. I never can remember that. So thank you for not embarrassing me.
You're good, man.
Yeah. And
thank you, Brian. As always, thank you.
Yep. So Bryan Nale with First Horizon Mortgage.
Yep.
And he's doing a lot of right things. So again, he got one of the top loan originators in the country. Got that recognition a couple weeks ago. It's because he's just really darn good at what he does.
Facts.
So anyway, thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. Moving on to a different Brian, my friend Brian Smith over here with Cinematicfocus. That is our guest today, and I am super pumped to talk to you. He was on Coffee Talk a long time ago, and I was like, "Hey, man, what are you doing today?" And he said, "Oh, just doing all kinds of cool stuff, but I can take time in my day for you." And he showed up over at Cedar Glade because we've got something very important happening tomorrow.
Yes.
Our very first live music set is going to start at 6:00. Yeah, that's right. So Mr. Jeff Lecision is going to be playing some music. We got to hear a little bit of that today. Sounded really
stuff.
good.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
and all your favorite music.
My favorite music.
Yeah, crowd favorites.
That's it. So lots of sing-along songs.
I feel like if you've been to Cedar Glade, y'all's playlist that you play.
He's covering it.
It's just that live.
That's it.
You're gonna like it.
It's gonna be great, and it's cool because Brian helped design. Really told me, hey, hang a speaker here, and I did exactly what he said to do. And because of that, we don't have to crank it up really loud for it to sound great all over the place.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna sound good. You're gonna be able to just hang out and talk to your friends, close, and not have to feel like you're screaming over a loud band or a screaming loud PA or anything like that. And yeah, it's just nice background music, and
you can sing along if you want.
Yeah, but loud enough to like enjoy it and sing along too. So it's gonna be a good time.
I'm pretty pumped. I was worried that it was gonna be really echoey. And I just don't think that's gonna be the case.
No, I think it's gonna be fun. And you could probably do some stuff down the road if you wanted to, but you don't need to. It sounds great in there.
Yeah. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So come join us at Cedar Glade Brews tomorrow, 906 Ridgely. Music starts at 6. Food truck will be set. Nope, not Wednesdays. Sorry, that's on Thursday for Singo. We'll get there. When you start showing up on Wednesdays, we'll have a food truck on Wednesdays. How about that? But anyway, so let's talk about Brian for a minute, because I've known you for a while, but I learned some things about you even today in our conversation with Jeff. It was pretty interesting.
I've lived a few different lives.
You have. So come to find out, Brian was a heck of a bartender in the late 90s right here around Murfreesboro. And I may or may not have taken advantage of his bartending abilities at that point in my life. But anyway, so Brian has done all kinds of stuff. Did you grow up here?
No, I moved here in 1995 to go to MTSU. Right out of high school.
Where did you move from?
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh,
So not too far away. And
but my man jumped from Western to come here.
I did. They're very similar towns. I just didn't at that time. I didn't want to stay in my hometown. You know, my father lived in Nashville. I just kind of wanted to get down to Tennessee, be closer. At the time I was a guitar player, and I thought I wanted to make a living playing music, and so I felt like being closer to Nashville was the better way to go. I mean, that dream kind of died quickly, but once I got to school,
Nashville is like that city of dreams and dashed dreams.
Yeah, you know, I always say in Nashville, like the guy sitting to your left and right is his town's best guitar player.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like some little town in Nebraska somewhere, that best guitar player in that town moved to Nashville.
Right.
To make it.
And he's the 89th best guitar player in Nashville.
Right. And now he's just, you know, a guy that, you know, delivers pizza in Nashville.
It's almost depressing. It is, but it's encouraging. I don't know. I've got mixed emotions about that.
People seem to like it though. I mean, a lot of people move here to pursue that, and then realize when they get here, like, no, it's just more. Maybe it's more fun to not make that your living. That's kind of where it was for me, anyways. I just decided, like, you know, that wasn't that. I thought it was gonna be more fun than it was. I played a few guitar sessions. I played a few sessions in studios. I played in bands, went on tour a little bit, and just decided this probably isn't for me. I just don't like it as much as I thought I would when I was a high schooler, you know?
Sure. But at the same time, what you discovered is that just like we have a pretty robust automobile manufacturing industry around here. And Nissan is one piece of that,
right?
But it's all the things that surround it that make it part of our economy. So you found that being a musician is one thing, but there's so many things that
inside of that. Exactly. Yeah, you know, there's what specifically with me anyways, what I found is I don't necessarily love to play other people's music. You know, it turns out I would rather just play the kind of, you know, just enjoy playing stuff that I like, which is like kind of Led Zeppelin stuff, that kind of thing. And but what I didn't mind doing was mixing other people's music.
Right.
So I ended up kind of getting this niche role, because, you know, that was another thing I did in high school was mix bands. You know, I've ran sound and that kind of thing. So and then coming here, there's already a culture of that, obviously. And I ended up with this kind of niche of mixing bands on the air. I did that for Lightning 100 and for the local Fox, Fox 17, you know, Fox affiliate here in Nashville on their morning show. And to me, that was something I could do that I really enjoyed, regardless of the genre, regardless of, you know, whether I really loved that type of music or not. But I liked, you know, mixing it. So it was this kind of niche thing I found that just fit me really well, and I enjoyed doing it. So, you know, still kind of, you know, working in the music business, but not necessarily playing guitar.
But, you know, really what you're talking about, I mean, you're the hero of the live show, because you don't get a do-over. It's not like mixing in a studio where, all right, let's try that again.
You know, that's interesting. Mixing broadcast is this extremely weird thing where it's studio standards, because it's on the air and it needs to sound a certain, like, it needs to have a certain quality level to it. But once it happens, it's you know, it's kind of, that's it. That's what happened. I mean, so for me anyways, I did dabble in the studio mixing world for a little while, but it just took too long to do stuff. Like, you know, mixing a record just takes too long. I just, you know, I'm quicker than that. I want to be faster. I want to, you know, I just don't have the patience for it, I guess.
But you also got to have a certain amount of confidence about you that, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on that. You're producing something that's going live. This is it. This is the finished product as it happens. So you have to anticipate some things.
Yeah.
You've got to be okay if it's not 100% perfect.
Yeah.
When it goes out.
That's true. Very true.
Even if you're the best in the world, you're going to mess up occasionally.
Definitely. And so the standards aren't like in the, you know, in the 99th percentile. They're more in like the mid 90s, I would say. You know, it still has to be really good.
That's pretty freaking high, though.
But it's high, right? Yeah. And I always say those last few percentage points are the hardest ones to obtain. You know, it's somewhat easy to go from like 50% to like 80%. Yeah. You know, just quit making so many mistakes, you know. But, you know, going from 80 to 90 is harder, it takes more money. Going from 90 to 100 though is astronomical. you know.
That's true.
And that's true in a lot of things where quality, I would say that's true in almost everything where quality is what you're aiming for.
And isn't while we're kind of on this little rabbit hole, that last 10% is the difference in a novice and a professional.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
I would say that.
I mean, at a novice level of making a podcast, at a novice level of taking real estate photos, at a novice level of fill in the blank, whatever it is, you can get to 90% great. But that last 10%.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I do think those numbers have changed over the years due to the availability of what used to be called professional equipment used to cost this much money. And now that line is extremely blurry, you know, like what constitutes professional equipment is, you know, I would say much cheaper than it used to be.
Sure.
They are still producing equipment that is, you know, cost a fortune, you know. You know, we were just talking about this the other day. You know, we've talked before about, and now I own a video production company, so I still involved.
We're getting there, by the way.
Yeah, it's still involved in the music scene, but you know, we're talking about a video production. You know, something that, you know, used to cost, you know, $100,000 or $1 million video production. You know, like the difference between what used to cost that much money and to achieve that same quality today is much cheaper than it was, you know, five
but they're still $100,000 items.
Exactly.
They're just even that much better.
And there's still $1 million, you know, there's still $1 million productions. Obviously, you know, major motion pictures still cost, you know, millions of dollars per second to produce. And, you know, that still exists, and that stuff keeps getting better and better, you know, but what you know, a $10,000 production looks way better today than it did, you know, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. So the price, like, you still have $1,000 productions, you still have $10,000 productions, you have 100,000. So that still exists. Those brackets still exist. It's just that overall for everything, the quality, I mean, you can make essentially $1,000 production on the newest iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's better than any camcorder or whatever that you would have had, you know, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's crazy. So you worked at Lightning 100. That's what I learned about you. I had no idea that you worked at Lightning 100. We reminisced. I spent one day at Thunder 94.
Yeah.
And so we both connected about the balcony at the top of the LNC Tower.
Man.
That place was awesome.
What a special place.
It really was.
The balcony of the LNC Tower is one of my, I mean, it's one of my favorite places in the world, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so cool. You know, I went to work there every day for a few years, and that's very special.
I went one day and it was very special to me. Like, it was cool. And you know, that was but for me, that was also tied to that stage, that moment in my life. I was a senior in high school. Did job shadowing, so I got to skip school for a day. It was still school sponsored, so it wasn't really skipping school.
Yeah.
And it was cool. So I spent the next couple years on the radio at WMTS, based on that experience with Julie Foreman, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
So that's how I got to job shadow that day. Is she still in radio? Surely she is.
I'm not sure what's going on with her.
If you know where Julie Foreman is, type it in the comments, because she was awesome and she was a great job shadow. So anyway, so that's what I learned about you today. But fast forward a little bit, you went to MTSU. It wasn't really your thing. You were doing the work that they were teaching you before they were teaching you to do the work. And so then you fast forward a little bit, you open up, like, what's next? Did you go straight to Cinematicfocus, or?
No. So yeah, kind of the whole story is I went from MTSU, and we talked about Puffin Billy's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been around in Murfreesboro for a long time, like, you know, so it was, for me, it was school, a stint at El Chico, which is no longer with us.
Right.
I actually helped. I mean, I was there when El Chico closed. I was working there when it closed, which was like,
I was at Tumbleweed when it opened. I helped open Tumbleweed.
See, I mean, this is
sucked.
like,
it was terrible.
This is like some deep dive Murfreesboro stuff right here. But so I left. So El Chico closed, and then go to Puffin Billy's Pub, which was
attached to the bowling
alley, owned by the Patricks, the same guys that own the bowling alley. So I worked for those guys for a little while. And I mixed it. So I was a server at lunch, but what I ended up doing was mixing the bands and booking the bands at Puff and Belly's. And then in 2000, got the opportunity to go work for Lightning 100. At the time, they were doing 4 shows a week that were broadcasting bands live on the air. So that's what they hired me to do. I did that for a few years, and then left that job with a few things in between, but ended up at Fox 17 on their morning show. So the morning show back then had musical guests on every day.
Oh,
and I mixed the bands live on the air.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was Monday through Friday. You know, I had to be, I woke up at 2:45 in the morning every day. It's terrible.
That's miserable.
Yeah. I did that for 9 years. And while I was there, I met my business partner, Josh, and we started Cinematicfocus, just as kind of a side hustle. We were all doing lots of freelance jobs outside of Fox, because the show was over, like the morning show was over, in the morning.
Right.
And so you were free kind
At
of
10 o'clock you were out.
Yeah, like in the middle of the morning you were done. We had some stuff to do after the morning show ended, but it wasn't like an all day thing. We were done, between 9 and 11 sometimes. And so we were all doing like side hustle video jobs. So Josh and I met, we worked really well together, and we started a company really as a way to pool our money together and buy equipment, because it was our hobby and it's what we were doing kind of outside of work. And before, a couple of years later, it was just, we didn't want to work for Fox forever. It was just, not that it was terrible there. It was just that it was, it's early in the morning, and
2:45 is it's not early in the morning, dude. It's late at night.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a lifestyle that I wanted to go, wanted to live my whole life doing. So we started Cinematicfocus, and eventually we just decided, like, we got to develop an exit strategy with Fox and figure out, what we want to pay ourselves and how we want to do that. And
so when did that happen? When did you go full tilt into Cinematicfocus?
that was 2012.
Okay.
So 10 years.
10 years. Congrats, man.
10 years.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
You got a full decade. That's like a color anniversary. You're supposed to buy each other some, it's not silver. I don't know what it is. Copper, maybe. I don't know. But probably aluminum. I'm making that up. I have no idea. But so you guys have been doing that for a while, and y'all have done some a pretty wide assortment of things, but you also kind of have a niche a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would say our niche is, so just kind of to nerd out a little bit about video, we shoot on DSLRs, mirrorless DSLRs. So that's kind of this specific type of camera, but we do it in kind of a multicam way. So most of the guys that shoot that style are shooting like documentaries and interviews and stuff like that. But we do a lot of that kind of stuff. We shoot documentaries, we shoot a ton of interviews, but we apply the DSLR workflow to multicam, which is a little unique, and that's kind of our niche, I guess. If we have one, we also really try to hit this specific kind of quality level, where it's not $1 million production, but it's not like $100 production either. We really try to find this upper medium kind of space, and
but that gives you a certain visual element that quite frankly is extremely appealing, because it taps into when it's not the $1 million production, it has a certain level of credibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it still looks like
authenticity.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I can believe this because I could maybe do that.
Yeah, like maybe on my best day I could get those results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it looks real.
Yeah, and then we can kind of like guarantee those results like consistently. You know. Yeah. I think that's one way to look at it. I mean, I think authenticity is something that a lot of people strive for, and that's kind of one of the things we strive for is telling authentic stories.
Sure.
So I mean, I think, and when you move up into this really high level of production, so much of it has to be planned. So we we definitely do a lot of things that are very planned, but we also try to be able to be fluid and adaptive.
Well, and so I got to see you guys in action, and got to participate in some stuff. You guys did a video production of the Rotary Fish Fry in Smyrna.
That was fun,
dude. That was one of the most fun things I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all came in and we kind of storyboarded it out, but it was very much a rough,
yeah,
like, okay, we're going to do this and then we're going to do this. And we kind of put some time frames to it.
Yeah.
And it, by, I don't know, 15 minutes in, the time frames were out the window. But they were close, right?
Yeah.
Like we had an idea. But what was cool about that is there was a plan. So it wasn't completely fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
And part of that, like with the whole, it wasn't just multi-camera, it was multi-location within the Smyrna airport. So we had, I was down on the tarmac interviewing different people within the organization. We had a camera that was up in the booth, essentially, that was talking about the silent auction. We had Neil Orn from channel, what is he on, 2? Yeah. Sorry, Neil. I apologize, buddy. Anyway, so he was up there. We got to kind of kick it back and forth between us.
Yeah.
Like that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And y'all freaking killed it. The production was outstanding. And it had a professional feel. It was obviously professional. But at the same time, it was, this is real. This is happening right now.
Yeah, it wasn't like, what I would say is, I mean, the way I would describe it to somebody is, so you're dealing with like the crew, all the crew on that show had all worked in various local TV stations. Okay, so they had all done that kind of stuff a lot, with like microwave trucks and $1 million production,
Sure.
And so it's fun for us to be able to do that kind of stuff and it not be this high level pretentious kind of, like, we're thinking of through the best way to do it,
Well, and then you guys stick me in front of a camera and there's no freaking telling what I'm going to say.
It's like, I would say that it was, we would have these days at Fox where it was like really fun, because like the feeling was good that day. And like, it was, you're reporting about something fun and everyone's just having a good time and everyone knows how all the equipment works. And we kind of know how to push things and what we can get away with and what we can't get away with. And it just becomes really fun. And you're like allowed to do stuff that, is a little irreverent, maybe,
Yes.
There was days like that on Fox, but it wasn't the norm,
Sure,
but see, in a situation like this, I mean, with Facebook, the way it is, I mean, like you're broadcasting on Facebook, I'm sitting there with you guys who are our clients, the client is the Rotary Club and we're sitting there and you guys are deciding, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it makes it a lot of fun because like you guys can push the envelope. You guys can make it fun. You can make it whatever you wanted to make it,
And we did. And it was awesome.
And Neil had a blast.
Oh, I mean, he had so much fun.
Yeah. And and they do stuff like that. I mean, like TV anchors do things like that outside of their jobs, and they get to cut up and have a lot more fun. But it is fun when everything works, like all the production works, and everything works together and you're kind of pushing the technology a little bit. And
it was cool for me because I'm sitting here in between when I was on and I would stick my head in where you guys were and I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds like a real broadcast, because it was a real broadcast.
Yeah, exactly.
It was awesome.
And we're doing a lot of that kind of stuff right now. With COVID, and that happened during COVID.
That's why that happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Correct.
And we're doing a lot of this kind of stuff now. And the $100,000 versus the $1 million production thing kind of rings true with this too. I've kind of explained to a lot of people, like during COVID. So the rise of the hybrid event or the online event.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we did.
Exactly. So so before, you had the fish fry. And if you would have went out and got a quote to make it live, you might have got like a $200,000 quote to do it right. Right. Like you would have said, well, we need this and we need this and we need it to be this good. And, it might have cost $200,000, $300,000. But you guys are like, you guys are raising money.
Right.
So it's kind
that's more than what we raised.
Yeah.
Raised.
So like, so it's counterproductive. It's just like, throw it out the window. We're not going to do that because, there's no point in it. And with COVID though, you had to do it live. So like you come to a company like us and say, hey, we have X amount of dollars. What can you do with that? Like that's all we can spend. And we want to have an event. So can you make an event? And that's fun for us. We're like, oh, okay. That's your budget. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Well, and then, I mean, that gives you license to try out some stuff. It gives you license to experiment a little bit, to maybe get Nick over here to come and help produce something or whatever.
Definitely. It makes it fun because, we all know the quality standards isn't going to be the same.
Sure. And we're all okay with it.
And we're okay with that. We just need something. And that happened in COVID a lot because what would happen is like you'd have this event or like a conference. We're doing a lot of online hybrid conferences now. And the people, they would say, well, we're just going to do it on Zoom. And they would try to do it on Zoom by themselves. And it would like
awful.
It would like kind of work and kind of fall apart on them. And they had a lot of buy-in. They had people like saying, yeah, well, it's COVID and we can't leave our house. So we're going to have to try to do it on Zoom. So they had buy-in. They had people, attempting to participate, but it was kind of a mess. And then, so they'd come to us and say, look, we have this much money to spend. Can y'all make it better than this train wreck that we had last month? And we're like, yeah, we can make it better with that. So we've done a lot of stuff like that, and it's fun.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I've often said that perfect is the enemy of progress.
Yeah,
and so if perfect is $200,000, can we make it better for 20?
For 20, yeah. What can we do for 20? And like, okay, well, we can do this many cameras, and we can have this many crew, and we can,
we need a good internet connection. You got to provide that, whatever.
So you figure some stuff out, and I, very proud of the work that we've done, helping big companies out who, I mean, they might have had the ability to write a $200,000 check to do something, but it didn't make business sense for them.
Sure.
So we can come in and figure out a way to do something that fits inside of their budget,
But I think COVID accelerated the platforms that can happen on as well.
Definitely.
So whether it's Facebook Live or it's Zoom or it's, all the we use Vimeo, if I remember correctly, to kind of facilitate the transfer there. YouTube Live. I mean, all of those COVID rather said, okay, we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's
now
time
we have to
right
do it.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's made a huge difference.
It has.
So
It has.
What's your favorite thing that you've ever produced? Your favorite thing that ever came out of Cinematicfocus?
Wow.
I didn't prep him for this, by the
way. These questions are tough, and I'm not just trying to stall, but people, I mean, I'll go back to the
Can you give me top 3?
Yeah, I will. I'll give you top 3.
Okay.
But I will say, you can only do top 3. You can't do number 1. You might have to do like top 5 or top 10, or there might be this rotating top 10.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, it depends on the day, we got to work with Slash, like Guns N' Roses Slash, for Gibson guitar. That will be in the top 5 or top 10 forever. That's pretty awesome.
So when you say that, what did you do for Slash?
He was they were kind of making him their first brand ambassador. They kind of created this role of brand ambassador, and they already create custom guitars. Like Gibson Custom Shop creates these custom guitars, and it's actually amazing. They will take like his guitar, his personal guitar, and then they will Gibson Custom will like recreate it perfectly. Like they will age it, even with like all of his scratches and all that stuff, and make it perfect. It's amazing.
So is that for him, or they resell that?
They resell them. I mean, they cost a fortune, but they're
sure.
But if you're a collector,
this is Slash's guitar.
This is the closest thing. Like when you pick it up, he can't tell the difference between his and the custom shop ones. That's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
So we filmed, like they did a promotion thing about that. We got to do that twice with him.
That's awesome. All right, so there's one.
Man, Now I'm trying to think of like something that's that good. I mean, that's a big one for me because I mean, I was
That's your music.
Well, yeah, I mean, I joke a lot of times and say like, A Sweet Child of Mine came out between my 6th and 7th grade year. I mean, they'll never be something that good for me again.
Nope.
Because
it's ingrained in that stage,
yeah,
in that moment. Yeah.
It's just never going to be that cool again.
Mhm.
Nothing. No music will.
Yeah. No matter how good it is.
No matter.
Matter.
Yeah, I think there's music I like better now, but I mean, there's nothing going to be that good again.
Yeah.
So
can you do the hip sway?
Probably. I probably practiced that in front of a mirror or something when I was a kid.
I'd throw my back out if I tried it.
Me
now.
too. Yeah, I'm not going to do that now for sure. Let's see here. Another thing. Oh man. I don't know. I mean, right now I'm just kind of thinking like what's on our website, but I was joking. They some of the guys here were looking at that earlier, and it's all extremely out of date. It's all like 3 years old.
What were some of the? You did some interview documentaries. You were telling me about. What about some of those?
So I will say another really cool highlight of our company's career is that we edited a documentary for the United Methodist Church that won an Emmy. So I got to go to the Emmys. Me and Josh got to go to the Emmys and get to walk up on stage and accept an Emmy. That was pretty cool.
That is awesome. I mean, that's a surreal moment, isn't it?
Very surreal. Yeah.
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 Did that make it on TV?
Yeah, it was on TV. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It's like the regional Emmys. Like I think it's like 5 or 6 states or something like that. But it's still very cool. Yeah, it's super on. Cool. Yeah, it was at the Schermerhorn in Nashville, and it was very cool.
That's awesome.
Very cool. But get the real Emmy. It's pretty awesome.
How heavy is it?
It's heavy. I mean, it's when you pick it up, it's heavier than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Who's the coolest artist you've ever met besides Slash?
I guess it depends on how you quantify cool.
To you, like who would you sit around and have a beer with?
Oh, that's a great question. We do a lot of work with the CMA. And so we've met like every country star.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot. Most country stars are awesome. They are literally down to earth. And even if they're not, they know they're supposed
to.
They're
trained to be.
Yeah, they're not trained to be divas. Like that's looked down upon. Right. They're expected to be kind and nice and down to earth and that kind of thing. But I will say Garth Brooks is actually that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a cool dude.
Pretty cool guy, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any bad stories that you want to share?
I would never do that.
Just thought I'd ask. I knew that was going to be your answer, but just thought I'd ask.
I think, what's the name of the podcast?
Spread the Positive.
Okay.
Although it does have an alter ego, doesn't it, Trent?
Stir the pot.
That's 2 feet. Yeah, I wouldn't stir the pot.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any point. And I will say that, like, we do get to interview a lot of famous people, and I've had very few bad circumstances, bad moments. So.
Sure. All right. So not including a talent. Tell me a story where everything just went to what? Like it just.
You asked me this last time.
Like it just was bad, but you guys recovered because you guys are pros. But what can happen that like. When I'm sitting on this side and you're on that side and your face is red, it's the color of this cord right here, and you're freaking out.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something. I got something, last time we did this, the Coffee Talk podcast, I told a story, and I guess that's on the internet. You can go back and watch that. But another one, oh man, I mean, there were a lot of moments on at Fox, like live television, where it all was melting. I mean, it was just that, it was bad. What they did is they went from a system where people manually controlled almost everything that happened on the air. And they switched that to a system where you pre-programmed everything and then basically just kind of hit the next button for every element.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and that sounds great. And I mean, it's very cool. I mean, it's amazing technology,
when it works right.
So during the implementation of that, some very crazy moments happened on air. Like where it turned on somebody's mic that was like down the hall instead of in the studio.
And it's most likely user error because it's only going to do what it's programmed to do.
It is. Usually what it amounted to was the live news business changes quickly, obviously, like, and so what happened, getting a little fun there.
Yep.
What happens is you say, okay, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. But when you get to this, you realize we can't go to this. So we're going to have to skip over this and go to this next thing. Well, when you have a bunch of humans that know what they're doing,
it's easy.
You can just say it and then it just happens. But when you pre-programmed all this stuff and now you have to skip this, it's like, well, what is the ramifications of skipping it? Like, where are all the little check boxes? Did I check all the boxes properly for me to be able to skip it? Or can you even skip it? Or how do you skip it? I mean,
and if you skip this, does that move this one faster? And then
it created all these, unforeseen problems. So we saw some really kind of, looking back on it, of course, it's hilarious,
sure.
But in the moment, like, no one really finds it all that funny when, you turned on somebody's mic who was like in the break room.
Yeah. Or in the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some really funny bathroom stories that I could not share on Facebook.
Oh, that's classic. I love that. I love it. Well, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate all that you do. I appreciate the help that you've given me here at Cedar Glade, and then also with the fish fry. I'm still lobbying for that to happen again. Just so you know,
I hope it does.
It was a lot of fun,
and I just want to say, man, you guys are killing it at Cedar Glade.
Thanks, bud.
If you haven't been, it is awesome.
I think tomorrow is going to be a defining moment for us, because I think we're going to have a lot of live music that happens, and it all starts tomorrow.
It's really good. I feel really good about what I heard today. I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be fun, relaxed. It's not going to be an annoying live music experience like so many are.
Right.
It's going to be enjoyable.
So I'd say best case scenario, we'll have a couple of guys or girls with guitars, and just kind of strumming and having a good time playing to the crowd.
Yeah.
And that to me is what small venue live music is about.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So, but the beer is excellent. The vibe is excellent. Like the people you have behind the bar are excellent. It's all just wonderful.
Well, thanks, man.
You should be very proud of it.
Well, if you are out there and you need some video production, some live streaming production, some documentary, any of those kinds of things, if you have a project and you're just not quite confident in your ability to do it, or you want to have it at that next level, definitely start talking with Cinematicfocus. These guys are pros, man. Between you and Josh and Jonathan, and gosh, I've met most of your crew at this point. You got some really, really good guys there.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
If you need mortgage help, call Bryan Nale. If you need real estate help, give me a call. And if you want to help spread the positive, most importantly, you need to give Trent Denson a call and get over here and help us underwrite the cool stuff that's going on. Trent, how many shows are we up to now?
30 plus.
30 plus. And man, it's all kinds of stuff, everything from body image to what's the parenting show?
Well, Judy's got the new one coming out, Loving Your Life After Death. It's like all about widows support. And
well, who was the one that I talked to that I was on?
Unapologetically Me with Brandy.
So it's not just parenting, is it?
No,
she's
kind of the stir of the pot one.
Yeah,
she's the stir of the pot one.
Picks all kinds of things, and then of course JD Knows Nil. Yeah. That is absolutely a pot stirrer if I've ever seen one in my life. That guy is wild.
We got a wide range. But yeah, locally on Murfreesboro is doing really good. That's really been fun to be a part of. And
yeah, I'm jealous of them. You haven't started some of those little segments with the bumper music and stuff,
right?
Man. We
got to step it up.
We got to get some of that stuff going.
Yeah, we'll do it. But yeah, got a lot of cool stuff going. Got some new stuff happening. Nashville, and got a connection in Tampa I'm working on that could be really cool.
No
I haven't
way.
Told you about that, but fingers crossed on that one. So
all right.
Shouts to Kelsey Duncan and her mom up here that got us connected. So
outstanding. Can't wait to meet you, Kelsey.
Yep.
If you want to help spread the positive, hit us up and all that other stuff that I already said. So thanks a lot, Brian. Awesome, appreciate you, buddy. And thanks for watching. You guys go and have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you again soon.